Coming up on Network Africa. Several feared trapped in central Kenya landslide as 4 are rescued from a collapsed building in the capital. President Paul Kagame's critic barred from running in Rwanda's election. Plus, Gabon's deposed President Ali Bongo and sons embark on hunger strike to protest against alleged subjection to acts of torture and barbarity. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. More tragic news coming in from Kenya today after several villages are feared to be trapped following a landslide in the Kimende area. The incident occurred on Tuesday night. The area has been cordoned off and although no fatalities have been confirmed, several people remain unaccounted for. At least 289 people are dead and more than 280,000 others displaced after weeks of heavy rainfall across the country. Elsewhere in Kenya, at least 4 people have been rescued from the rubble of a collapsed building in the Mathare neighborhood of Nairobi, the country's capital. The Kenya Red Cross says 3 of them are critically injured, while 1 other person sustained minor injuries. More people are believed to be trapped under the rubble. The building was undergoing demolition when it came down. Kenya has experienced unprecedented rains and flooding recently, prompting the government to order people to move to higher ground. The building had been recently vacated and was ordered to be demolished as it was too close to a river, according to local authorities. We'll have more of that in a moment, but the International Criminal Court prosecutor probing war crimes committed in Libya since 2011 has announced his plans for extended investigations till the end of 2025. Presenting his regular report at the UN Security Council, the prosecutor of the ICC, Karim Khan, says standard progress has been made in the last 18 months, thanks in particular to better cooperation from Libyan authorities. The ICC is investigating crimes committed in Libya that has been under chaos since 2011 when longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed.
Today, in this, my 6th report to the Council, the 27th in total, I think that we have a landmark moment by announcing a roadmap in relation to what could be the completion of the investigative stage in terms of Resolution 1970. Rather, the roadmap I have detailed in the report represents, I think, a genuine, a dynamic vision for the fulfillment of the mandate that you've entrusted to us. It details a focused set of activities that will implement, God willing, in the next 18 months and beyond, to significantly expand the impact of our action in the Libya situation. And the roadmap is a collective work. We are not the only operator on the international level. We have to work shoulder to shoulder with the authorities in Libya, with the Council, with all state parties. The first is the intention, the hope, the target to complete the investigative stage from now and by the end of 2025. That's the investigative stage of the situation. Of course, it's not going to be easy. It's going to require cooperation, candor, a can-do attitude from my office, but also from the authorities in Libya. The second part is judicial and complementarity, because following, if that goes to plan, following the end of 2025, we want to move posture and try to help and support Libya. That can start now. Technical assistance, burden sharing, trainings, know-how, use of artificial intelligence, technology, and technical skills of building these types of cases, and focus again with Libyan colleagues on arrest and tracking.
We welcome the efforts undertaken by the Prosecutor's Office and the progress achieved in all lines of inquiry identified in the renewed strategy for action on the situation in Libya. In continuation of this strategy, we welcome the development of a roadmap for completion of the investigative phase, and in this respect, we stress the importance of taking into account the views of all stakeholders, including victims and survivors. We positively note that the cooperation between the Libyan government and the Prosecutor's Office has increased, and we encourage further progress in this regard. Such cooperation is indispensable not only for the conclusion of the investigative phase, but also throughout the prosecutorial and judicial phases.
Elsewhere, a prominent opposition politician and critic of Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has been barred by the court from vying in the July presidential elections. Bernard Ntaganda had asked the court to lift his convictions so he could qualify to run the election, but the High Court declined Mr. Ntaganda's request on Tuesday, citing his failure to pay legal fees in the previous case. Rwandan law forbids individuals who have been convicted for more than 6 months from holding public office. However, Mr. Ntaganda maintained he had paid the fees, adding that he was not surprised by the court's decision. Mr. Ntaganda was arrested before Rwanda's 2010 election, in which he planned to run. He was freed in 2014 after serving time on charges including organizing unauthorized demonstrations and threatening state security. Let's get back to our top story today of the tragedies, the twin tragedies that occurred in Kenya, the landslide and, of course, the building collapse. We're being joined now by Kenyan journalist Cyrus Mbati. Cyrus, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for being the show.
Right, so what more can you tell us about the rescue and evacuation operations ongoing at several flooded areas in the country?
What we understand is that we have almost 300 people dead since the issue started on the flooding. The rescue, as you have said, is actually an ongoing process. The military has joined the rescue process, and they seem to be overwhelmed one way or the other because the cases are many. Like last night, we had a case of landslide here near Nairobi, somewhere called Kiambu, and so far 5 people are missing, according to the locals. The down coast near Mombasa, the area is flooded. So the rescue mission is ongoing. The military is joining the whole mission. The Kenya Red Cross is also joining, and other government officials are joining to try to rescue those people who are traveling their homes or roads or hospitals and schools all over there. It's a big, massive exercise that is ongoing so far.
And what's the plight of those affected by this tragedy?
That's another issue because look for example, Nairobi, we have informal settlements here. We have almost 200,000 people who have been kind of displaced, and the demand is so huge. They have
we've lost connection with Cyrus. We'll get back to him as soon as we can, but let's move on to Gabon. All right, Cyrus is back.
Sorry for that, because I was saying, as it stands now, men are settling in schools, men are settling in churches, and men are settling in their friends' homes and social places. It's an overwhelming kind of situation that it has no mountain to compare in the past, because even the government itself now is seeking help of other agencies to help. Like now, we have so many embassies which are coming in to help kind of give out food and money to help those people who are affected by the flood.
And we know schools resumed this week, but with all that has been going on in the last couple of days, is it still safe to say that schools can remain open?
Well, some schools are still marooned by the water. Some schools are inaccessible because the roads were cut. The part of Kenya and the coast, most roads are affected by the floods. So you can't say perfectly that the schools are safe to be there, but those are able to now to open and continue the studies of their own. Those are the government yesterday said that there are almost 100 schools which have not opened so far, and those are affecting thousands of children. So it's an issue of wait and see what to see next. It's a problem that stands now.
And of course, the aftermath of floodings and landslides and of this nature are that some buildings are deemed unsafe. Some have been marked by the government because of this. One recently collapsed. People are still believed to be trapped under the rubble. Do you have any update on this particular incident as well?
Yeah, they kind of finished and rescuing or checking the rebels. All of them were rescued. There were 34 people. Not only that one, there's another one actually collapsed yesterday. That's near it's a slum called Madare. They also rescued 4 people who are trapped inside. So what we are seeing is a situation where more and more structures are collapsing because they are wet, because they are built in a place which is kind of wet and they are collapsing. So everyone, there's always an alert being issued for people to move to safer places, and it's an overwhelming situation to say the least.
And what measures are being put in place by the government to keep people safe?
Yeah, the government is moving around with them, sending alert, telling people to move out of places they deem dangerous, near rivers, near riparian areas where the landslides are commonly occurring. So it's an issue of now relying on an agency or government agencies which are also far away from where you are. So as an individual, it's good to know where you are. It's dangerous to move out of that place. It's an individual kind of initiative that can help you to be safe.
And when are the rains expected to subside, Cyrus?
Well, Nairobi has been calm. There's been no rain in the last 2-3 days, and the Met Department say that they may continue. The rains are continue until the end of this month. So we have 2 more weeks with the parts of Nairobi, out of Nairobi, and up country. The rains are still ongoing. So it's an issue of waiting to see what happens up to the end of the month. So the situation is still the wet Nairobi in Kenya rather.
I would ask this before I let you go. The rainy season in Kenya, is it usually this severe when it causes such tragedies?
Well, this is usually the rain season between March and July, March and June there. But then this has been so severe. It has been massive, it has been unprecedented kind of level because people have never experienced such kind of flood in the past. So this one more, people are blaming this thing on climate change, which could be true. But then I can say the least that this has been higher than what we used to get before.
Right. Kenyan journalist Cyrus Mbati, a pleasure having you again on the program today.
Pleasure having you too.
Elsewhere, Gabon's deposed President Ali Bongo and 2 of his sons have gone on hunger strike to protest against their alleged subjection to acts of torture and barbarity. Mr. Bongo was ousted in the military coup in August last year, shortly after he won a disputed presidential poll. He was then confined to his house in the capital, Libreville, along with 2 of his sons, Jalil and Bilal. The ruling junta also placed his wife, Sylvia Bongo, and eldest son, Nuruddin, in prison awaiting trial on corruption allegations. The family's lawyers say they have filed a complaint with the Paris Judicial Court a week before Gabon's junta leader, General Brice Oligui Nguema, is due to visit France. The ousted president, aged 64, had led the oil-rich country since 2009 when he succeeded his father, who had been in power for more than 40 years. Welcome back to the program. Nigeria's Minister of Women Affairs, Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, has threatened legal action against the Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly following his announcements to marry off 100 orphans who lost their parents to banditry in Mariga, Niger State. Speaking with journalists in Abuja, the nation's capital, Mrs. Kennedy Ohaneye explains that the action violates the Child Rights Act, which stipulates protection for children. However, the Speaker, Mr. Abdulmalik Sarakindaji, explains that he has rescinded his decision on the matter.
The latest media briefing by the Minister of Women Affairs, and this borders on the protection of orphans and vulnerable persons in the country.
So we will make sure that these girls are getting married.
The minister is reacting to plans by the Niger State Assembly to marry off some orphans in the state.
I heard over the news yesterday and all over the internet where a particular legislator, being the Speaker of Niger State, mentioned as part of his constituency project to marry out and pay dowries for 100 orphans who were displaced by bandits in their village. I want to let the Honorable Speaker of House in Niger State to know that this is totally unacceptable by Federal Minister of Women Affairs and by the government. Totally unacceptable.
She also plans to take up the matter legally.
The future of the children to come out of that marriage must be considered. So I have gone to court. I have written in a letter, I've written a petition to the police, the IG of police, and I have filed a case for injunction to stop him from whatever he's planning to do on the 24th, until such a time a thorough investigation is carried out on those girls, find out whether they gave their consent, find out their ages, find out the people marrying them, who are they.
The Speaker of the State Assembly is also reacting to the matter, stating that while the decision is not meant to harm the orphans, he has chosen the path of peace and will discontinue the plan.
I'm disappointed with her action. And as such, I'm making it known to everyone now that that support I intend to give, I'm withdrawing it. For the marriage of those orphans, I've withdrawn. The parent can have the support. If they wish, let them go ahead and marry them out. If they wish, let them use it for whatever purpose they want to. I've done it in good faith, and I will continue to do it.
The Child Rights Act is now adopted in 34 states of the Federation. The Minister of Women Affairs is promising to do better towards the protection of children as well as empowerment of women for socio-economic development. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
Well, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has defended his plan to sign into law a contentious bill that aims to provide universal health coverage. The National Health Insurance Bill seeks to give all South Africans access to quality healthcare, with its implementation costing billions of dollars. However, it's facing widespread objection from the main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, and medical unions vowing to take legal action against the bill if signed into law. On Tuesday, the DA accused the president of using the bill as an electioneering tool just days before the polls. But Mr. Ramaphosa said that his government was not reckless and that the introduction of the NHI will not be done in a destructive manner. Well, the 5 men suspected of murdering South African rapper aka Aka have been denied bail. The men appeared in Durban's magistrates' court on Wednesday, with the magistrates saying releasing them would be reckless and irresponsible. Last year, he and his close friend Tebelo Maswane were gunned down outside of a restaurant in Durban in a killing that shocked South Africans. Police said hitmen were paid to target the victim, but no motive was revealed at the time. 2 more men, also accused, are waiting extradition from Eswatini. South Africa's mining company, Sibanye-Stillwater, has revealed plans for further restructuring within its gold mining operations, potentially leading to an additional 4,000 job cuts. As the largest employer in the sector, the company disclosed that approximately 3,000 permanent positions and 915 contractor roles are under threat. This marks the 3rd round of workforce reductions within a year for the group. Economists say the move will hurt communities where Sibanye operates.
The roughly 4,000 people that have recently been retrenched from Sibanye-Stillwater face very grim prospects, and so do those who depend on them. So for sure, they will receive a stable income through their retrenchment packages for some time, but they're going to have to find new work at some stage. And in South Africa, that's an increasingly difficult thing to do. The national unemployment rate officially is around 32%. But if you include discouraged work seekers, people who've given up, that climbs to around 42%. And if you just look at youth unemployment, that's well over 50%. If you look at the mining sector specifically, because retrenched miners are likely to look for work there, it's worth noting that there are fewer people employed in mining today than there were in 2017. And in manufacturing, which is adjacent, there are fewer people today that are employed than back in 2008. Overall, joblessness has increased under maladministration, poor rail, road, and port facilities. And this means that everyone that loses their job is finding a tougher time to get a new one. Most concerningly, the period that people take to find new work has increased for 77%. It's well over a year. And so that's indeed a very long time to be looking for work.
The top United Nations official for Somalia, Katrina Liang, continues her farewell tour in the country, visiting Galmudug, where she welcomed the federal member states' recent achievements in the fight against female genital mutilation. According to the UN Population Fund, FGM is a strong social and cultural norm in Somalia, promoted by societal and family expectations and fear of social sanction. Ms. Liang says that it's an outstanding achievement, and she is honored to be part of the efforts that brought about the legislation to stop it.
Galmudug is the first federal member state to have passed legislation to outlaw all forms of female genital mutilation, FGM. And this is really an absolutely outstanding achievement, championed by the leadership of the President, but with amazing work done by the Minister of Women's Affairs and many, many women who've campaigned for this, who I've been meeting over lunch today. These are brave women who've stood up and said this has to end. And they had a receptive voice, I'm glad to say, in the President. Here in Galmudug, legislation is step one, but implementation, of course, is challenging, because legislation in itself doesn't change cultural behaviours, deep cultural practice, where families feel they are doing their daughter a service by cutting her. And of course, it is quite the reverse. It is dangerous and harmful and traumatic. So changing people's mindsets will take time, but we want to work with you on that through education in particular.
And hundreds of Nigerian citizens have rallied close to the Niger-Benin borders to show their support to local authorities and their decision to keep the borders closed after Benin Republic's blockade of oil exports. The protesters marched in Gaya with flags and placards, voicing their support for Niger's military council, while expressing discontent with the situation. Some activists accused Benin Republic's president of serving French interests and called for the removal of French soldiers from the area. Earlier this week, Niger's Prime Minister Algerian announced that the border with the Benin Republic would stay closed, claiming that the Benin authorities had violated agreements regarding their joint oil pipeline. The relations between the two nations have been tense after Benin and other West African regional bloc ECOWAS countries imposed sanctions on Niger Republic, including border closures, following a military coup in Niger last year. An Algerian man who has been missing for more than 25 years was found held captive in his neighbor's home in the northern Jalfa province. Citing authorities, local media reports that Bin Omran Omar's disappearance happened between 1996 and 1998 during the Algerian Civil War. He was found in an underground hall covered with hay. He said his captor had cast a spell on him, leaving him unable to call out for help. More reports say the brother of the man's alleged captor had outed him on social media after they got into a dispute over inheritance. However, the abducted man, now in his mid-40s, is receiving medical attention after he was rescued by authorities. His alleged captor, a 61-year-old man, has been arrested and is being questioned. Finally, thousands of people have gathered at Mali's Great Mosque of Djenné for an annual celebration which sees locals replastering the world's largest mud brick building to maintain its structural integrity. Huge crowds surround the mosque while local women carry buckets of water to the site and men climb towering wooden ladders before slithering a mud-like substance on the walls of the building. According to local reports, the plastering is done with a substance known as banko, which is a mixture of baobab powder, water, rice bran, and sand. The plaster protects the historic landmark from wind and rain. The Great Mosque of Djenné was designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1998. But like many other buildings in the city, its mud bricks help keep it cool and scorching summer temperatures. The mosque is believed to have been built in the 13th century. However, the exact date of the construction is unknown. The current structure was rebuilt under the French colonial administration in 1907. That's it on the show today. Thank you for watching. I'm Jacka Rogers.